that AI was first adopted by techies, right? We all jumped on board as fast as the technology. So we've been working with it for years, natural language processing and machine learning. I think as it has kind of propagated itself to the general public now, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a myth that only technologists can use AI. I think the generational comment is also valid because I think that the younger audiences are very fast to download an app like ChatGPT and then start talking to it. And there's a whole bunch of other social apps now that have kind of found their way into the populations, and they don't care it's AI or not, right? They are not
rapidly, whereas the older folks are hanging on to the processes that they know. And honestly, in the environment that I've been in, it's been a struggle to get people to adapt to AI, and they're slowly starting to come around, but most people think of AI as just ChatGPT.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because what's happening also, and I think the other paradigm shift that is about AI here, is that the way that people search for information is shifting dramatically, right? Google and any browser for that matter are under direct threat now from AI and AI browsers, and we'll talk about that later. But
think about that. Are we biased? Yes, we're all biased in different ways, I believe. And AI will pick up on it, and in my mind, it just starts, amplifying some of the biases. And then we talk about how do we prevent the bias. I had a conversation last night with the advanced speech version of ChatGPT to help give me a prompt that will hopefully keep bias out of any future prompt that I would ever write. So what are your thoughts on that? We had a long conversation about that last week, and I know Annie had some very specific thoughts on that. No thoughts on bias?
I would actually like to say, before Ann jumps in, that one of the things that I like to do is check my own bias as I'm putting in my prompt. You can always at the end tailor it and say, after this, verify any bias that you see in this prompt and adjust and point it out and adjust for that. So you can work with it knowing that you have innate biases and have that be your checkpoint for it.
Exactly. And you can put it in kind of, if you're in GPT, you can put it in and as part of your master prompt that will take a look at every prompt that you write and make sure that it will factor. I'm sorry, go ahead, Christine.
I said I do try to
right.
Let it know, where we're coming from, the audience, things like that. I'm trying to, but I still haven't found a way to make it completely objective. It's just we're not there yet.
No, I haven't figured that one out. I'd like to figure that one out.
Okay. The switch between models.
Yes, I do that a lot. I'll start with one model and then switch to another and then another and
requiring that whoever is implementing the AI needs to take responsibility for it as if it was themselves, as opposed to deferring that, oh, the AI did it. No, if you deployed AI and it caused harm, then you caused harm. And I think that will self-correct quite a bit of trouble.
Right, I think so too. I think people are going to be kind of excited to find out that your cyber insurance doesn't cover the president of the company on somebody screwing up an AI inside that company. That president still gets to go to jail if somebody screws up AI in the company. Because right now, I don't know if any insurance is covering that. If anybody knows of that, please bring that to the forefront that we can discuss. But I think we've been
some of the LLMs that are out there, in particular Claude and I think DeepSeek, are starting to appear sentient. They're not really. We know this, but at the same time, they are, like, everyone's talking about ChatGPT 5 and Grok, the latest version of Grok, and they're both much more personalized, I guess is the way I would describe it, but they are not sentient by any means. And it's interesting to what their definition is, because they're using the Turing test as kind of the answer. And that's not good enough anymore. So, I mean, Turing test is good to say, yes, it's computationally aware, but holding tank that has a relationship between all of them. Um, Quantum computing will lead towards that. I think we have to wait until quantum technology is more readily available before we could start teaching AI like a brain.
Yeah, I think that there's some differences when you get into things like meta prompting, where you have the prompts writing the prompts, writing the prompts. And that's not exactly how a brain works.
Right.
So, Royce, go ahead.
I mean, as I've looked into it to this, I think one thing to keep in mind is that there's at least where there's different types of intelligence that and strategies that the brain uses. Neural nets, probabilistic thinking is one strategy, but if you look at like how Daniel Kahneman talks about in his book Thinking Fast and Slow, we also have a part of our brain that is more rational and reasoning, using symbolic kind of more like symbolic language, neurosymbolic types of strategies. And although we often think of that as being us, it's actually the probabilistic side that does a whole lot more thinking than the rational side, because the rational side takes up too much energy. But then there's also the kind of embedded, embodied homeostasis type of aspects of our brain that kind of feeds both of those. It's more akin to the cybernetics that got developed in the 40s and 50s and then kind of lost status. So it's really all of those combined. And yet none of those in the AI side has still been able to develop strategies for planning and thinking